Welcome. You're watching First Principles AI, where we prioritize depth over trends and understanding over hype. We talk a lot about explainable AI. We build fancy dashboards, generate colorful charts, and spend millions engineering systems that can tell us why they made a decision. We love coloring the important features red and blue to make us feel in control. But here's the uncomfortable question. What happens when the explanation just doesn't matter? When an AI is guiding a surgeon's hand, flying a 787, or managing a nation's power grid, knowing why it made a choice is a distant second to much bigger question. What happens when it's wrong? Because the research is making it painfully clear that explainability alone is a dead end. A model can explain that a patient's cough was a key feature in its diagnosis, but that tells you nothing about how it will perform when faced with a rare disease or corrupted data with a faulty sensor or a patient from a demographic it never trained on. In these high stake fields, we are stuck in a dangerous trade off. The most accurate models are often the least transparent, and the most explainer models are can be dangerously unreliable. In those critical moments, trust isn't a feeling. It's not philosophical. It's operational. It is engineered with guardrails, guarantees, and predictable ways to fail. So, how do professionals in life or death fields actually learn to trust AI system that can never fully understand? And what does that trust really look like when lives, fortune, and critical infrastructure are on the line? Let's start with the foundational truth that changes everything. Explainability is not the same thing as trust. You can have a perfect, human readable explanation for a model's decision and still be right to refuse to deploy it. Why? Because of what we can call the explainability paradox. Modern AI, especially the massive models running our world, are black boxes so complex their own creators don't fully get them. The paradox is this: making a black box logic look simple doesn't magically make its behavior reliable. It's like being able to read the sheet music for a symphony, but having zero guarantee the orchestra will play it correctly on an opening night. Think about healthcare. A diagnostic AI might analyze a chest X-ray and highlight the exact pixels that led to it to flag a tumor. That's your explanation. But what it is isn't it telling you? It doesn't tell you if the model tends to hallucinate artifacts when the image quality is like bit grainy. It also doesn't tell you if it systematically underdiagnoses this exact condition in a specific ethnic group of a hidden bias in the training data, and it can't even tell you if it's plausible in the real reason or just a convenient story it cooked up after the fact. In autonomous driving, the gap is more terrifying. A self-driving car might swerve, or its log could report like object detected, collision probability like 98%, evasive maneuver initiated. But the explanation is useless if the system is easily confused by heavy rain, a lens flare, or a sticker at a stop sign. All known failure points. We see this in with so-called jailbreak attacks, where researchers have shown it's possible to bypass the safety guardrails of top-tier AI models. A single direct harmful prompt get blocked, but a clever series of seemingly innocent questions can trick the AI into a dangerous state. This is the core of the trust deficit. Explainable AI helps a person interpret a decision after it's been made. But mission critical systems need something else entirely: a verifiable assurance about how the system will behave before it acts, especially under pressure. So, the goal isn't for an operator to say, I get it. The goal is here for an engineer to say, I know exactly how it will break when things inevitably go wrong. So, coming to the second section, the four pillars of operational trust. So, if explanations aren't the answer, what is? How do you build systems you can actually trust with your lives? Professionals in field like aviation and medicine doesn't trust AI because it's easy to understand. They trust it because it has been engineered to be dependable. The trust isn't built on one future, but on four non negotiable pillars drawn from decades of industrial practice. The pillar number one, explainability plus brutal validation. The smartest teams know the choice isn't between an explainable model and a valid one. It's about using them together. An explainable system that hasn't been validated is just a confident liar. A valid but opaque system erodes accountability. The solution is a hybrid approach. In finance, for example, AI models that detect fraud are complete complex black boxes. Instead of making a model fully transparent, which could hurt its accuracy, firms build a governance system around it. They use explainability tools to help human analysts see why a transaction has been flagged, but they only trust the system because it has been brutally validated against historical data and is constantly monitored for any dip in the performance. Pillar number 2, robustness through systematic stress testing. Amateurs ask, is the model accurate on our test data? Professionals ask, how, when, and where does this thing break? The goal isn't just to verify performance, but to map out the entire landscape of failure. This means going way beyond the standard testing into systematic stress testing. You have adversarial red teams actively trying to fool the AI, just like a hacker would. You hammer it with a corrupted inputs and bizarre edge cases. A trusted system isn't one that's perfect. It's one whose failure modes are predictable and contained. Knowing that safety guardrails can sometimes be bypassed doesn't make a system useless. It means you engineer a second layer of defense, assuming the first will eventually fail. Pillar number 3, governance as a system property. This is the biggest mindset shift of all. Trust isn't a property of a model, it's a property of the entire system it lives in. In a real organization, trust is an assembly line. Models are subjected to continuous validation, tracking the performance not just the deployment, but forever. More importantly, trusted systems don't replace humans, they empower them for critical moments. A human expert has to approve high risk decisions, investigate weird anomalies, and hold the power to override the system at any time. This human in the loop design is to bedrock of the trust. It ensures autonomy is always controlled autonomy. Pillar number 4, transparency in design, not just outputs. Finally, trust isn't just built when the AI spits out an answer. It starts long before that, in the design and the documentation of the system itself. In regulated fields like aviation, engineers don't just deliver a model, they deliver a comprehensive record of its creation. This means documenting architectural decisions and justifying the training data. It requires a meticulous data provenance, a forensic trail tracing where every piece of training data came from and what biases might be lurking with it in. This something this transparency isn't for marketing brochure. It's for accountability. If something goes wrong, investigators need to know not just what the AI did, but why it was built the way it in the first place. Coming to the section 3, the trust maturity model, crawl, walk, run. Organizations don't just flip a switch and deploy a life altering AI. They follow a deliberate 3 stage journey that builds confidence one step at a time. Tier 1, AI as an advisor. At the first stage, the AI has no real power. It's a consultant. It gives insights and make recommendations that a human expert is completely free to accept or ignore. Think of an AI analyzing thousands of medical papers to suggest links between genes and diseases. A scientist uses that as a starting point for their own research. The stakes are low. The goal is simple. Let the organization learn in a safe sandbox, figure it out with AI quirks, and build a human feel for its behavior. Tier 2, AI as a decision support partner. In Tier 2, the AI gets a promotion from advisor to active partner. It's now a co pilot, augmenting human judgment by spotting patterns in massive datasets that a person would miss. The key here is to is the human operator. It's still the pilot, but now they rely on the AI's analysis to make better, faster decisions. A classic example is a radiologist using AI to scan hundreds of MRIs. The AI doesn't make the diagnosis, it acts as a tireless second pair of eyes, flagging suspicious areas for the doctor to review. For this work, the human needs to know exactly when and how to intervene. Tier 3, autonomous execution within defined boundaries. Only after mastering the first two stages can an organization even consider true autonomy. And even then, it's never a free for all. In this final tier, the AI is allowed to act on its own, but only within a specific, highly constrained context. A leash, not a release. For this to be possible, the system must have undergone exotic stress testing, proving its reliability. Crucially, human oversight and the power to hit the off switch remains non negotiable. Think of an automated power grid that instantly reroutes electricity to prevent a blackout. It acts alone, but its actions are governed by strict rules. A human engineer is always watching, ready to take control. The principle is simple: trust grows and authority is earned. So, coming to the section 4, guardrails, the unsung heroes of AI trust. So much of this comes down to one word: guardrails. But they aren't just simple filters, they are sophisticated, multi layered safety system that designed to prevent bad behavior before it causes damage. It starts with layer 1, the input validation. Before even a prompt reaches the main AI, it passes through security checks. This system looks for adversarial input trying to jailbreak the model and spots attacks trying to hijack its purpose, and also like screens for prohibited content. It's like airport security for data. If a prompt gets clearance, hits it hits layer 2, model behavior governance. This is where the model's internal behavior is reined in. It's a whole symphony of techniques working together. Fine tuning from human feedback or RLHF, carefully written system prompts that set the rules of the road and separate referee models that watch for toxic language. Finally, after the model generates a response, it hits layer 3, output validation. Before you ever see the answer, another set of filters swing into the action. They scan for hallucinations, check for private data leaks, and validate the output against known facts. Some systems even use a hybrid approach, combining fast, rule based checks with slower, more powerful models to catch sneakier attacks. But here is the critical catch that brings us in a full circle. Guardrails reduce the risk, but they don't eliminate it. They are strong fences, not impenetrable walls. As we have seen, clever multi step attacks can slowly steer a model around these defenses. The real insight is that guardrails are most effective when they are part of a bigger system. Human oversight, constant monitoring, and fail safes that evolve as the new threat appear. Conclusion. Let's bring it all home. First, The explainability is for our understanding, but it's never a substitute for rigorous and relentless verification. Second, a real trust in high stakes AI is built on systems, constraint, and guarantees, not just feeling of clarity. Third, professionals don't trust abstract models. They trust concrete process like governance, validation, and human in the loop control. And fourth, trust is built in stages where autonomy is earned, never just handed over. We have been sold a simple story that if we can just understand AI, we can trust it. But in the systems that truly matter, the opposite is true. We don't need to understand them perfectly. We need to have engineered them so responsibly that we can guarantee their behavior, especially when they fail. And that is how you build the future, not on the flimsy foundation of explanation, but on the bedrock of engineering. If you are focused on building real, lasting value in a field, you know that understanding how these things are built is the ultimate advantage. Subscribe for more breakdowns on the principles and systems that are actually shaping our world. Thank you.